All right, so are you ready to jump in today? We're going deep with Robert Greene.
Oh, wow. Robert Greene.
Yeah, so we're talking like the author of Mastery and the 48 Laws of Power.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so this deep dive is all about you, the listener, and getting the most out of his insights on human nature and finding your path, and even some thoughts on the sublime.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a lot to uncover today, and we're pulling from a recent interview that he did.
Interesting. So what stood out to you? What are we tackling first?
Well, actually, one thing that's really cool about Greene is that he doesn't just talk about strategy and power.
Right.
He also delves into the importance of purpose and self-awareness.
Oh, that's so interesting because I think sometimes those ideas can almost seem at odds with each other, right? Like the pursuit of power and then this inner journey of self-discovery.
Yeah, for sure. And he really stresses this urgency of finding your life's task in today's world.
Okay.
And, it's like we're bombarded with distractions. Technology is always pulling us in different directions. And it's easy to lose sight of what really matters.
Yeah. Totally. It's like shiny object syndrome times 1,000, right?
Exactly, yeah. And he actually uses this really cool analogy. He compares finding your life's task to an archaeologist carefully excavating artifacts. So he suggests that we should kind of excavate those passions and interests we had as kids.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, the things that we were genuinely excited about before, the world started telling us what we should be excited about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like the things you love before you even realize there's a word for that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he actually tells this story about a mentee of his who was feeling totally lost in this dead-end job.
Okay.
And he was, depressed, lacking energy, just stuck.
Yeah, I've been there.
And so Greene's advice was to carve out just 2 hours each night to explore a potential path, maybe even take a night class.
Interesting.
And guess what? That little bit of direction, that glimmer of possibility, completely changed his mindset.
Wow.
He went from feeling hopeless to totally energized and hopeful.
I love that. Just a little bit of action.
Yeah, it's incredible how powerful even small actions can be, right?
Yeah, totally. It reminds me of that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
For sure.
Sometimes we get so paralyzed by overthinking and planning that we actually forget how important it is to just start.
Totally. And Greene actually highlights how so many people get caught in this loop.
Right.
They're endlessly planning and dreaming without ever taking that leap.
Yeah, it's like they're living in the realm of possibility, but never stepping into the realm of action.
Exactly.
It's so true. What do you think holds people back?
Well, I think fear of failure is a huge one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We're so conditioned to avoid mistakes that we forget that failure is often like the best teacher.
Right. It's like we're not even allowed to experiment anymore without feeling like a failure.
Totally. And he tells this funny anecdote actually about meeting the creator of a magazine called Bad Ideas.
Bad ideas.
Bad Ideas.
That's great. I love that.
It just makes you think about how important it is to embrace unconventional thinking and be willing to try things that might not work out.
Yeah, like what's the worst that could happen?
Totally.
Honestly. Sometimes the best things come from what we thought were bad ideas.
Right, exactly. And speaking of taking leaps, building this podcast wasn't always easy, was it?
Oh, definitely not. I mean, remember those early days?
Yeah, it was a lot of late nights.
Yeah.
Lots of trial and error and, definitely some self-doubt along the way.
Totally. But you stayed so focused and you kept honing your skills, and look what you've created.
Yeah.
This amazing community, and you're reaching such a wide audience.
Yeah, and it's a testament to the power of persistence and focusing on the long game.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And that's something that Greene really emphasizes.
Yeah.
He says, the future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in creative ways.
I love that.
So instead of chasing those quick wins, he's all about developing deep skills and focusing on mastery.
Yeah, he even asks this thought-provoking question. How many things have you said no to?
Oh, wow.
It really makes you think about where your focus lies and what you're truly committed to.
Right, because for every yes, there are 100 no's.
Exactly. And it actually reminds me of his advice about prioritizing skills over chasing money, especially early in your career.
Yeah, didn't he have that period where he was basically living on turnips and cauliflower cheese?
He did. He talks about how he chose to take a lower-paying job that offered more learning opportunities over a higher-paying job where he might have gotten lost in the shuffle.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and he uses this great comparison. He's like, would you rather take a $30,000 job at a startup where you'll learn and grow, or a $150,000 job at a big corporation where you might stagnate?
Right.
It's powerful.
Right, it is.
It's about investing in yourself and acquiring those valuable skills that'll ultimately pay off in the long run, even if it means some short-term sacrifices.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now things take a little bit of a turn. Green gets into this whole concept of the dark side, like our insecurities, shame, desire to fit in. And he actually argues that it can be a powerful driver of success if channeled effectively.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so he tells this story about a really successful entrepreneur he knows who works like 18-hour days,
Oh, wow.
seemingly driven by past experiences, and he's just hoped a lot, claims to be happy. But it makes you wonder, right, at what cost? Can we become so consumed by that drive that we lose sight of true fulfillment?
That is a great question. It's like almost like, are we all running from something
Totally.
to get to something else? And is that even the right way to approach it? I don't know.
Yeah, and it makes me think about those times in my own life when I've been really driven, but maybe not always for the healthiest reasons.
Right.
It's like a double-edged sword. Ambition can be powerful, but it's important to be aware of those potential downsides and to find that balance between striving for success and taking care of our well-being.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot for sure.
Right, exactly. And so Green encourages us to understand that dark side, acknowledge its power, but also to set boundaries and find fulfillment beyond just those external achievements.
I love that.
Yeah. And speaking of understanding ourselves, Green also touches on Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences.
Oh, this is a good one.
It's such a good theory because it challenges that narrow definition of intelligence that's often so focused solely on logic and language.
Right. It's not just about being book smart.
Exactly. And Gardner actually identifies several types of intelligence, from linguistic and logical mathematical to spatial, bodily, kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, and even naturalistic.
Yeah, there are so many different ways to be intelligent.
Totally. And it's fascinating to think about which of those intelligences might be the most undervalued in today's world.
That's a good question.
So which one do you think?
Well, I think I'm drawn to the idea of interpersonal intelligence.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah, in a world that's constantly demanding our attention, being able to understand and manage our own emotions and motivations feels like increasingly valuable.
Yeah, I love that. And it ties in perfectly with what we were just talking about with Green's concept of the dark side, right?
Yeah.
It's like if we could develop that interpersonal intelligence, we're better equipped to navigate those darker impulses and channel them in a positive direction.
Absolutely. Okay, so brace yourself.
Yeah.
This next topic is a bit uncomfortable,
Well,
but we all deal with it, envy.
oh yeah.
Green calls it the ugliest emotion because it stems from our constant need to compare ourselves to others.
It's so true, though, especially in the age of social media.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's so easy to get caught in that comparison trap,
Constantly.
You're scrolling through Instagram, seeing everyone's highlight reels, and it's like, why doesn't my life look like that?
Totally, and it makes you feel terrible.
Yeah, totally inadequate.
Yeah.
But Green has this interesting perspective on how to manage envy productively.
Okay, I'm listening.
He says, we need to acknowledge the feeling first.
Okay.
Don't try to suppress it.
All right.
But then you can actually use that envy as fuel for self-improvement.
Oh, I like that.
So instead of letting it eat away at us, we can channel that energy into becoming better versions of ourselves.
It's like turning poison into medicine.
Exactly.
Okay.
Although Green also makes this point that as much as we might hate to admit it, appearances do matter.
Oh, here we go.
I know, right? It's not all about inner beauty and substance. How we present ourselves to the world plays a role in the game of power.
I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
He is right.
Yeah. I mean, he's not just talking about like fashion or physical appearance, but those subtle cues like eye contact, posture, even the way we use silence. Remember that anecdote about 50 Cent?
Oh, yeah.
He used to command attention in meetings without even saying a word.
He's got that presence.
Yeah, he had this powerful presence, this strategic use of silence. It's almost like he was playing a character,
Right.
carefully crafting the image he wanted to project.
Totally, yeah.
And it just makes you think, how often are we unintentionally sending the wrong message with our body language or our demeanor?
Oh, all the time, I'm sure.
Right. So much we could learn from that.
Definitely. Speaking of needing some quiet time, Green talks a lot about the importance of solitude.
Oh, this is a big one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to hate being alone.
Really?
But then I started taking like solo hikes, and it completely shifted my perspective.
How so?
It just became this time for reflection, for connecting with nature, for just being present with my own thoughts. How do you feel about solitude?
I completely agree. I think it's so essential to be comfortable with our own company.
Yeah.
And Green actually makes this really crucial distinction between solitude and isolation.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so solitude is about embracing those moments of being alone and using them for self-discovery and creative exploration.
Yeah. And it's interesting how he ties this back to the dangers of constant stimulation.
Right.
Like those dopamine hits we get from technology, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're becoming so accustomed to that instant gratification that we're losing our ability to appreciate the simple joys of life,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm.
Like those moments of quiet contemplation.
Yeah, I definitely feel that sometimes it's like I forget how to just be.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he uses this powerful analogy of just watching people walk by his window,
Oh, wow.
you know? And as someone with limited mobility, he sees that simple act of walking with a sense of awe and appreciation that most of us take for granted.
That's beautiful.
I know, it's really beautiful. And it makes you think about, you know, our own relationship with technology. Are we letting those dopamine hits numb us to the real world?
Yeah, I think that's a valid concern. And Green actually suggests that we combat that by engaging in activities that ground us in our physicality,
Or like what?
like spending time in nature, creating something with our hands, having deep conversations.
It's about finding that balance, like
Oh,
between the virtual world and the real world.
totally.
And I'm actually really curious about Green's upcoming book, The Law of the Sublime.
Oh, yeah, tell me about that.
What's he exploring there?
Well, he's kind of delving into this idea of expanding our consciousness and appreciating the wonders of the universe.
You know, he talks about cultivating a sense of awe and wonder, recognizing the beauty and mystery that surrounds us every day.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's like shifting our perspective, seeing the world with fresh eyes, finding the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Totally. Yeah.
It reminds me of that feeling you get when you travel to a new place and everything seems so vibrant and exciting.
Oh, yeah.
How can we bring that sense of wonder back into our daily lives?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he suggests that we actively seek out experiences that evoke that feeling.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it's taking a different route to work, listening to a new genre of music,
Okay.
trying a cuisine we've never had before.
Yeah.
It's about being open to new possibilities,
Yeah.
even in the midst of chaos.
And speaking of chaos, Green is pretty vocal about his perspective on the current state of the world,
Oh, yeah. What does he say?
Well, he talks about those historical cycles of chaos and the dangers of demagogues who exploit fear and uncertainty for their own gain. Yeah. It's scary how relevant that feels right now. It's like we're seeing this rise of populism and polarization and everyone retreating into their own echo chambers, and it's creating this toxic us versus them mentality.
Yeah, it feels like thoughtful dialogue is becoming increasingly rare.
It really does.
But this is where Green's emphasis on critical thinking becomes so crucial, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he challenges us to resist blindly following any ideology
Right.
and to develop our own informed opinions, even if it means disagreeing with our tribe.
It's hard, though.
It is hard. It's so hard.
Especially when it feels like everyone's picking sides and you have to be on one or the other.
Exactly. And he actually admits that while he might lean towards a particular side politically, he doesn't agree with everything that they promote.
Right.
And that really struck me because it highlights the importance of being willing to think for ourselves, to question the narratives we're being fed,
Totally.
and to engage in respectful dialogue, even when it's uncomfortable.
It's so important. Yeah.
It's about recognizing that the world is complex and nuanced,
Absolutely.
and there are rarely easy answers to these difficult questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this next part is where things get a little bit controversial.
Oh, boy.
Green revisits one of his most talked about laws from the 48 Laws of Power.
Which one?
Let others do the work, but always take the credit.
Oh, yeah. That one always sparks debate.
Oh, yeah, and it's so easily misinterpreted.
Right.
But he actually explains that it's not about being a ruthless manipulator.
Okay.
It's about understanding power dynamics.
Yeah.
And using that knowledge strategically.
Okay.
So he gives the example of, leaders throughout history who've built empires on the backs of others' labor.
Right.
And it's just a reminder that power is often wielded behind the scenes, and that those who are most effective at it are often masters of delegation and influence.
That's true.
Yeah, so have you ever worked on a project where your efforts went unnoticed?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
It happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I think Green's point is that we need to be proactive in ensuring our contributions are recognized and that we're getting credit for our work.
So it's not about taking credit where it isn't due, but about strategically positioning ourselves to be seen and acknowledged for our contributions.
Exactly. And this actually ties into a broader conversation about understanding human psychology.
Okay.
Green argues that power dynamics are always at play,
Mm-hmm.
whether we're conscious of them or not.
Right.
It's like that saying, it's not personal, it's just business.
Right.
But even in our personal lives, there's always this subtle dance of power,
Mm-hmm.
a negotiation of influence.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. And the more we understand those dynamics, the more effectively we can navigate them.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another key skill Green emphasizes emotional intelligence.
Yes.
He argues that we need to be aware of our own emotions and the emotions of others and be able to manage them effectively.
Such a crucial skill.
Right. He even suggests that we often overestimate the rationality of others and underestimate the power of emotions.
Oh, that is so true. How often have you tried to convince someone of something using logic and reason only to find that their emotions completely took over?
Oh, all the time, all the time. It's like you can present the perfect argument and it just goes nowhere.
Right. And so Green's point is that we need to appeal to people's emotions as well as their intellect
Okay.
if we want to truly persuade them.
So it's about understanding what motivates them, what fears they have, what desires they're trying to fulfill.
Exactly. Yeah, and he even suggests using storytelling and vivid imagery to create that emotional connection and make our arguments more compelling.
Interesting.
Yeah, which actually makes me think about how much we're influenced by stories, whether it's in books, movies, or even the narratives that we create about ourselves.
Right. We're all storytellers in a way.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this next topic is a bit of a minefield.
Oh,
The rise of wokeness and the backlash against it.
Yeah, this one is definitely charged.
But Green offers a really interesting perspective, I think.
Okay.
He argues that both the woke left and the right-wing reaction to it have gotten things wrong.
Okay, I'm curious to hear his take on this.
Okay, so he sees wokeness as an ideology that's often disconnected from everyday reality and tends to create this us versus them mentality.
Right.
He worries that it stifles open dialogue and prevents us from having honest conversations about important issues.
Yeah, it's like everyone's walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing or offend anyone.
Exactly.
It does feel like we've lost the ability to disagree respectfully and to learn from each other's perspectives.
Totally. But he also criticizes the right-wing reaction, which he sees as often resorting to anger, fear-mongering, and overly simplistic solutions to complex problems.
So it sounds like he's calling for a more nuanced and balanced approach.
He argues that both sides have become trapped in their own echo chambers, unwilling to listen to opposing viewpoints or engage in thoughtful debate.
And that's where his call for critical thinking becomes so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about being able to think for ourselves,
Right.
challenge our own assumptions,
Yeah.
and engage in respectful dialogue even when it's difficult.
He encourages us to find a middle ground where we can acknowledge the validity of different perspectives without resorting to anger, judgment, or self-righteousness.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit, Green also talks about the importance of developing a strong sense of masculinity.
Yes, and I love his take on this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he argues that true masculinity is not about aggression, dominance, or emotional repression.
Okay.
It's about self-controlled discipline and a willingness to take responsibility for our actions.
It's about those inner qualities, those virtues that allow us to navigate life's challenges
Right.
and to contribute to society in a meaningful way.
Exactly. And he even talks about the importance of being able to criticize ourselves,
Hmm.
to acknowledge our shortcomings, and to strive for continuous self-improvement.
That's such a crucial point. It's about having the courage to be honest with ourselves, even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like that saying, the unexamined life is not worth living.
Right, exactly.
Okay, on to another intriguing concept, boldness. What does Green have to say about that?
He argues that the world tends to move out of the way for those who are bold, who are willing to take risks, and who aren't afraid to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, it's like that saying, fortune favors the bold.
Exactly. And he actually encourages us to embrace boldness in our own lives,
Okay.
whether it's starting a business, pursuing a creative passion, or simply speaking our minds. He even shares a personal story about a time when he was able to gain access to a restricted area at a festival simply by walking with confidence and conviction.
What?
It's a great example of how our perceived confidence can be just as powerful as actual confidence.
It reminds me of that famous quote, fake it till you make it.
Right, and sometimes the best way to achieve our goals is to simply act as if we already have them.
So true.
So true. And speaking of believing in ourselves, Green also talks about the importance of developing a strong sense of self-belief, even when we don't necessarily feel confident.
Yeah, this is something I think a lot of us struggle with.
Oh, totally. Especially in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with messages about what we should be, what we should have, how we should look.
Right, it's easy to feel inadequate.
So easy. But Green argues that confidence is not something that we're born with.
Okay.
It's a skill that can be learned and developed over time.
I like that.
Yeah. And he suggests using affirmations, visualization, and other techniques to kind of build our self-confidence and overcome those limiting beliefs.
I love that.
Yeah. And he also emphasizes the importance of surrounding ourselves with supportive people who believe in us and encourage us to pursue our goals.
So important.
Right? It's like having a personal cheerleading squad to remind us of our strengths and keep us moving forward.
Totally. It's a game changer.
Okay, get ready for this message. It's a powerful one.
Okay.
Green urges us to stop taking our blessings for granted and start appreciating the things we often overlook.
Yeah.
He talks about how his experience with the stroke has made him incredibly grateful for the simple things in life, like being able to walk or swim.
Wow. Yeah. Perspective.
I know it's such a powerful reminder that our health, our mobility, our relationships are precious gifts that we should never take for granted.
Absolutely.
And so he encourages us to cultivate a sense of gratitude
Yeah.
for all that we have, even the things we might consider mundane or insignificant.
It's about finding joy in the everyday, right?
Totally. Yeah. It's about appreciating the little things.
Yeah.
What are some practical ways that we can actually cultivate that sense of gratitude?
Well, he suggests practicing mindfulness, really taking the time to savor our experiences.
Okay.
Whether it's enjoying a delicious meal, listening to the birds sing, or simply feeling the warmth of the sun on our skin.
It's about being present in the moment.
Yeah.
Instead of constantly rushing through life, we need to slow down and appreciate the beauty that surrounds us. Okay, so this next topic is particularly relevant for anyone who's ever felt stuck in a rut or unfulfilled in their work.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of us.
Yeah, so Green talks about the importance of finding our life's task, the work that truly ignites our passion and gives us a sense of purpose.
He argues that we all have unique talents and abilities that we're meant to share with the world, and that it's our duty to discover and cultivate those gifts.
It's like we all have this special mission, this calling that we need to find and embrace.
Exactly, and he encourages us to explore our interests, experiment with different careers, and to never give up on the search for our true calling.
And he also emphasizes the importance of developing mastery in our chosen field, which involves dedicating ourselves to continuous learning and improvement.
Right. It's a lifelong journey of growth and self-discovery.
Yeah, and he actually sees mastery as a process, not a destination.
I love that.
Right. Okay. So this next topic is particularly relevant for anyone who's ever felt overwhelmed by the complexities of the world.
Okay, and let's be honest, who hasn't felt that way lately?
It's a lot. It's a lot to process.
It really is.
But Green talks about the importance of developing a strong sense of inner peace and resilience, especially in times of uncertainty and chaos.
It's like finding that calm in the storm.
Right, exactly. And he argues that true strength lies not in denying our emotions, but in learning to manage them effectively.
Okay.
And so he suggests practicing mindfulness meditation and other techniques to cultivate inner peace and to develop the ability to respond to challenges with grace and composure.
It's about finding that inner strength, that resilience that allows us to weather life's storms without being completely swept away.
Exactly. And he also emphasizes the importance of having a strong support system, whether it's friends, family, a therapist who can provide guidance and support during difficult times.
So important.
It's a reminder that we don't have to go through life alone.
Absolutely not. We need each other.
We do.
Okay, so this next one is for anyone who's ever felt lost or uncertain about their direction in life, which again, I think is a lot of us. What does Green have to say about finding our way?
Well, he stresses the importance of developing a clear vision for our future
Okay.
and creating a plan to achieve our goals.
So setting intentions.
Yes, exactly. And he encourages us to define our values, set smart goals, and to break down our larger aspirations into smaller, more manageable steps.
So it's like creating a roadmap for our lives.
Exactly. But he also emphasizes the importance of taking consistent action, even when we don't feel like it, and to celebrate our progress along the way.
Because the journey matters too.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a reminder that the journey is just as important as the destination and that we should actually enjoy the process of growth and self-discovery.
I love that.
Right. And so now this next topic is one that I think holds a lot of us back. Limiting beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
What does Green have to say about overcoming those self-sabotaging thoughts?
He talks about the power of our beliefs and how they can either empower us or hold us back. And he encourages us to examine our limiting beliefs and to replace them with empowering beliefs that support our goals and aspirations.
It's like we're reprogramming our minds for success.
Exactly.
What are some techniques that he suggests for doing that?
Well, he recommends using affirmations, visualization,
Right.
and other techniques to reprogram our subconscious mind and to create a more positive and supportive inner dialogue.
Right. It's about the self-talk.
Yeah.
And he also emphasizes the importance of surrounding ourselves with people who believe in us and encourage us to pursue our dreams.
Right, because their belief in us can sometimes be stronger than our own.
Totally. It's about creating that positive feedback loop
Yeah.
where our thoughts, beliefs, and actions all work together to support our goals.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this next one is for anyone who's ever felt like they're not good enough or that they don't deserve success. What's Green's advice for overcoming those feelings of inadequacy?
He talks about the importance of developing a strong sense of self-worth and recognizing our inherent value as human beings.
It's so important.
Right. He encourages us to practice self-compassion, to forgive ourselves for our mistakes, and to celebrate our accomplishments no matter how small.
It's about silencing that inner critic,
Yeah.
that voice that tells us we're not good enough or that we don't deserve good things.
And he also suggests focusing on our strengths and talents and to not compare ourselves to others.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
So true. We all have our own unique journey, and it's important to focus on our own path, not on what everyone else is doing.
Absolutely. Okay, so this next one is for anyone who's ever felt like they're not living a life that's true to their values. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and to lose sight of what's truly important.
Yeah, we go on autopilot.
Totally. What does Green have to say about that?
Well, he talks about the importance of aligning our actions with our beliefs
Okay.
and of making choices that are consistent with our deepest values.
So like integrity.
Yeah, he encourages us to define our values, to clarify our priorities, and to make sure that our daily actions are reflecting our core beliefs.
So it's about walking our talk.
Exactly.
Right. And he also emphasizes the importance of being willing to make changes in our lives if our actions are not aligned with our values.
It's about being honest with ourselves.
Totally. Okay, so this next one is for anyone who's ever felt like they're not using their time wisely.
Oh, time management. That's a big one.
It's so easy to feel like we're constantly busy, but not really accomplishing anything meaningful.
Right. It's like we're just spinning our wheels.
Exactly. And Green talks about the importance of being intentional with our time and energy
Okay.
and of making sure that we're spending our time on activities that are truly meaningful and fulfilling.
So it's about being mindful of how we're spending our precious time
Yeah.
and making sure that it's aligned with our priorities.
Exactly. And so he encourages us to prioritize our time, to set clear boundaries, and to learn to say no to things that are not serving us.
Boundaries are so important.
Right. And he also emphasizes the importance of being present in the moment and of appreciating the simple joys of life.
It's about making the most of every moment, not letting life pass us by.
Exactly.
Okay, this next topic is for anyone who's ever felt like they're not making progress toward their goals. It's easy to get discouraged when we're not seeing the results we want.
For sure. But Green offers some words of encouragement.
Go.
He talks about the importance of setting clear goals,
Oh, okay.
developing a
A plan to achieve those goals and taking consistent action towards our desired outcomes.
Right. It's about putting in the work.
Yeah, and he encourages us to break down our larger goals into smaller, more manageable steps and to celebrate our progress along the way.
It's about taking those baby steps and recognizing that even small wins are worth celebrating.
Exactly. He also emphasizes the importance of being patient and persistent and of not giving up on our dreams even when faced with setbacks and challenges.
Persistence is key.
Absolutely. Okay, so this next one is all about connection. What does Green have to say about building meaningful relationships with others?
This is a big one.
He talks about the importance of developing strong communication skills, practicing empathy, and being willing to be vulnerable with others.
It's about opening ourselves up to others and creating that space for authentic connection.
Exactly. He encourages us to listen attentively, to ask thoughtful questions, and to share our own thoughts and feelings authentically.
Right, being real.
Yeah. And he also emphasizes the importance of building trust and rapport and of creating a safe space for open and honest communication.
It's about creating those deep, meaningful connections that enrich our lives.
Absolutely. Okay,
Yeah.
so this next one is for anyone who's ever felt like they're not living a life that's truly their own.
It's so easy to get caught up in societal expectations and to feel that pressure to conform. How do we break free and live authentically?
Well, he talks about the importance of embracing our authenticity, following our passions, and creating a life that's true to our values.
It's about being true to ourselves, even if it means going against the grain.
Exactly. He encourages us to break free from societal expectations, to challenge the status quo, and to create a life that's uniquely our own. He also emphasizes the importance of self-acceptance, self-love, and self-compassion.
It's about embracing who we are, flaws and all.
Absolutely. Okay, this next one is for anyone who's ever felt like they're not making the most of their opportunities. It's easy to get stuck in a rut and to miss out on all the amazing things that life has to offer.
It's easy to play it safe, right?
Yeah. He talks about the importance of seizing the moment, taking risks, and stepping outside of our comfort zones.
It's about living life to the fullest.
Exactly. He encourages us to embrace new experiences, to travel, to meet new people, and to not let fear hold us back from living a full and vibrant life.
It's about saying yes to adventure.
Yes, and he also emphasizes the importance of being present in the moment and of appreciating the beauty and wonder that surrounds us.
It's about finding those moments of awe and wonder, those experiences that make us feel truly alive.
Exactly. Okay, so this next one is for anyone who's ever felt like they're not living up to their full potential. What does Green have to say about reaching for excellence?
This is something that I think about a lot.
He talks about the importance of developing our talents, cultivating our skills, and striving for excellence in all that we do.
It's about pushing ourselves to be our best.
Exactly. He encourages us to be lifelong learners, to embrace challenges, and to never stop growing and evolving. He also emphasizes the importance of finding mentors and role models who can inspire us and guide us on our journey.
It's about surrounding ourselves with people who lift us up and challenge us to grow.
Absolutely. Okay, so this next one is for anyone who's ever felt like they're not making a positive impact on the world. How do we make a difference? How do we leave the world a better place than we found it?
It's such a big question.
It is. He talks about the importance of finding our purpose, using our talents to serve others, and making a difference in the lives of those around us.
It's about using our gifts to make a positive impact, however big or small.
Exactly. He encourages us to volunteer our time, to donate to causes we believe in, and to use our voices to advocate for positive change. He also emphasizes the importance of being kind, compassionate, and empathetic towards others.
It's about making the world a kinder, more loving place.
Absolutely. Okay, so this next one is for anyone who's ever felt like they're struggling to maintain a positive attitude. Life can be tough, and it's easy to get bogged down in negativity. What does Green have to say about cultivating a positive mindset?
Yeah, we could all use a little bit more positivity in our lives.
He talks about the importance of cultivating a positive mindset, focusing on the good, and choosing to see the best in ourselves and others.
It's about choosing to see the glass as half full.
Exactly. He encourages us to practice gratitude, to surround ourselves with positive people, and to focus on our strengths and accomplishments. He also emphasizes the importance of taking care of our physical and mental health, and of engaging in activities that bring us joy and fulfillment.
It's about creating a life that feels good on the inside and out.
Absolutely. Okay, last but not least, we have the topic of emotional intelligence.
This is huge.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's crucial. He talks about the importance of understanding and managing our emotions effectively.
It's about being in tune with ourselves and with others.
Exactly. He encourages us to practice self-awareness, to learn to identify our triggers, and to develop healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with stress and difficult emotions. He also emphasizes the importance of seeking professional help if we're struggling to manage our emotions on our own.
It's about acknowledging our emotions, understanding them, and learning to manage them effectively. It's about taking care of our mental health,
Yeah,
which is just as important as taking care of our physical health.
absolutely.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. Robert Greene has so much wisdom to share.
I feel like we could talk about his ideas for hours.
Me too.
So as we wrap up part 2, I want to ask you, what are some of the biggest takeaways for you from this deep dive into Robert Greene's work?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that reminder to embrace the power of observation.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah, Green is a master of studying human behavior, and he encourages us to do the same, whether it's observing power dynamics at play or noticing those subtle cues in people's behavior. There's so much we can learn by paying attention.
It's like he's giving us a toolkit for understanding the world around us and for understanding ourselves better, too.
Exactly. And with that understanding, we can make more informed choices, navigate challenges more effectively, and ultimately create a life that feels more aligned with our values and aspirations.
It's like he's saying, wake up, pay attention. The world is full of secrets waiting to be discovered.
I love that it's about being curious, being observant, and being open to new perspectives.
It is about being curious, being observant, and being open to new perspectives. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to one of the themes that's woven throughout so much of Green's work, the idea of finding our purpose.
Yeah.
It's something he talks about in Mastery, it's something he touches on in the 48 Laws of Power, and it's something he continues to explore in his upcoming book, The Law of the Sublime. Why do you think this concept is so central to his philosophy?
I think it's because he recognizes that finding our purpose is essential for living a meaningful and fulfilling life. When we have a clear sense of why we're here, what our unique contribution to the world is,
Yeah.
it gives us direction, motivation, and a sense of deep satisfaction.
It's like that North Star that guides us.
Exactly.
It helps us make choices that are aligned with our values and our aspirations. It helps us prioritize what's truly important.
And I think it's also about recognizing that our purpose might evolve over time. It's not necessarily a fixed destination, but rather a journey of exploration and discovery.
I love that it's about being open to new possibilities, being willing to adapt and grow, and trusting that we'll find our way.
It's about embracing the journey even when it's messy and unpredictable.
So for our listener out there who's maybe feeling a little lost, a little uncertain about their own purpose, what advice would you give them based on what we've learned from Robert Greene?
Well, I think the first step is to start paying attention to what brings you joy, what sparks your curiosity, what makes you feel truly alive.
Okay.
What are you naturally drawn to? What are you good at? What do you find yourself doing in your free time? Those are all clues to your passions and your potential.
It's like those things are whispering to us, this is what you're meant to do, this is where you belong.
Exactly. And once you have a better sense of what those things are, start exploring them.
Okay.
Take classes, read books, talk to people who are doing what you're interested in. Don't be afraid to experiment and to try new things.
It's about giving ourselves permission to explore, to play, to discover.
And remember, it's a process, not a destination. There will be setbacks, there will be challenges, but don't give up. Keep seeking, keep exploring, and trust that you'll find your way.
This has been such a rich and insightful conversation. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of Robert Greene's work.
Me too. He's such a fascinating thinker.
Yeah.
And his ideas are so relevant for anyone who wants to understand human nature, navigate the world more effectively, and create a life of purpose and meaning.
So for our listener out there, we encourage you to check out Robert Greene's books, explore his interviews, and see what resonates with you. He's a wealth of knowledge, and his insights can truly transform your life.
And remember, even in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, there is always beauty and wonder to be found.
So be bold, be curious, and never stop exploring. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep seeking those moments of sublimity.